Society hopes you'll take special note of the many dreams around us which have come true because Iowa's engineers are committed to excellence. It's a time to remember engineers for helping us claim our dreams, for turning ideas into reality.
Our magazine, afternoons at 3 on TV 8.
This morning, a narrow victory in a big city showdown.
I need the help of everyone in this city.
President Reagan braced for a critical report on the Iran affair.
One small bump could put a major dent in your pocketbook.
And the winners at the Grammys.
This is the CBS Morning News. Good morning. I'm Forrest Sawyer.
And I'm Faith Daniels. It's Wednesday, February 25th.
Leading the news this morning in Chicago, the talk is about working together. Now that the bitter Democratic primary is over, Harold Washington, the city's first black mayor, is the winner of a race where the #1 issue was race. Former Mayor Jane Byrne lost the rematch, but not by all that much. Karen Boros reports.
Harold Washington brushed off predictions that he would win in a landslide, and it turned out he was right. Instead, he won a narrow victory in a city apparently divided by the politics of race.
I say to Democrats all over the city, it is time we came together.
It was a long campaign for challenger Jane Byrne, who got into the race nearly 2 years ago. For a while, it looked like Byrne had a chance. She narrowed Washington's lead in the polls 2 months ago, but then dropped behind and never caught up.
The people have spoken. We didn't make it. I love all of you, too.
It was a feisty campaign down to the final day when charges of fraud emerged after several thousand voters were given the wrong ballots to mark. Those votes would have been invalid had a judge not ordered the ballots hand-processed and counted in the Democratic primary.
What we have is a relatively large group of people who believe that they participated in the Democratic primary, but in fact did not.
The mismarked ballots probably didn't make a difference. Washington apparently won as he did 4 years ago with the overwhelming support of black voters while failing to make major gains with white ethnic voters. He must now face what could be stiff competition from 2 more Democrats running as independents and a Republican in the general election April 7th. Karen Boras, CBS News, Chicago.
With just 1 day to go before the Tower Commission report, a crucial section appears to have leaked into print this morning. The New York Times says the report will show that President Reagan was far from being remote from White House dealings with Iran. It said the president had regular briefings and frequently discussed the initiative with former National Security Advisor John Poindexter. An important part of the story now is the president's memory of events. Terrence Smith has more on that.
These objectives. Confronted with reports that he couldn't remember whether he gave advance approval to a 1985 shipment of arms to Iran, President Reagan conceded that his memory was sometimes less than perfect.
I'd like to ask one question of everybody. Everybody that can remember what they were doing on August 8th of 1985, raise your hand. I think it's possible to forget. Nobody's raised any hands.
The issue arose after Mr. Reagan gave conflicting accounts of his own view in 2 different meetings with the Tower Commission. One Democratic leader said he found the president's forgetfulness appalling but credible. Another said he thought it amounted to more than that.
When testimony is changed, when documents are changed, when positions are changed, you have to say that it's more than just a failure of memory.
The polite phrase is damage control, which officials admit is practically a full-time occupation at the White House these days. Its goal, of course, is to protect the president. But now even Republicans on Capitol Hill believe that the solution is for the White House Chief of Staff to step down.
When you reach a point at which your continued presence makes it tougher for the president to do his job, distracts from his other activities, then the only option that's available to you really is to tender your resignation.
But Donald Regan, like everyone else at the White House, is waiting for tomorrow's release of the Tower Commission report. Aides say he is confident he will be cleared of any wrongdoing, and that then he will be willing to consider stepping down. Terrence Smith, CBS News, the White House.
The independent counsel on the Iran affair, Lawrence Walsh, is studying a challenge this morning, a federal lawsuit filed by Oliver North. Defense lawyers claim that the investigation of North is unconstitutional. The legal challenge could delay prosecution for years. And the Washington Post reports that John Poindexter once tried to remove North from his role as point man with the Nicaraguan Contras. But the Post says that North resisted. Conservatives raised a fuss, and Poindexter dropped the idea.
In Moscow, democracy took center stage again today in a speech by Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. Without it, Gorbachev warned, progress is impossible for the Soviet Union. Wyatt Andrews got the word in Moscow.
The speech was a Gorbachev appeal to the laborers of the nation to embrace the goals of democracy and economic restructuring. His audience was the powerful Congress of Trade Unions. His basic message, be more productive. But within the speech came Gorbachev's most specific public attack yet on the opponents of his policy. He said his programs are not for the lazy or the selfish, and that his opponents have no faith in the people. Gorbachev also suggested a specific program for labor reform. Major factories, he said, should move rapidly toward working 3 shifts a day, an apparent call for growth industries to work around the clock. He called on labor unions to raise the pay scale for the most productive workers. The speech is a display of the domestic Gorbachev at work. For the last week, Gorbachev has been in the northern cities of Tallinn and Riga, spreading the same message to factory workers directly. Work harder, he always says. Produce more. Be more creative. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Moscow.
Israeli Foreign Minister Perez has arrived in Egypt for a 2-day summit with President Mubarak. Both men favor an international Mideast peace conference, but Perez left Israel under sharp criticism from Prime Minister Shamir, who says an international conference would be madness. In West Beirut, the pro-Iranian Hezbollah accuses Syrian soldiers of massacring more than 20 of its militiamen. Hezbollah says its fighters were handcuffed and then hacked to death with axes and bayonets.
Today is the first anniversary of a very unusual revolution in the Philippines. Today the people took power without firing a shot. David Jackson in Manila reports on the celebrations.
Cathedral bells at dawn rang in the day 1 year ago that Ferdinand Marcos left the Philippines. A peaceful start to a boisterous day-long celebration of the victory of the People Power Revolution. Its leader, Cory Aquino, addressed an army deeply divided in its political sympathies, reminding soldiers that while they may have triggered the revolution, civilians made it work.
Our people turned out to defend your lives. It is your part now to defend their freedom.
Cory's people turned out again today by the hundreds of thousands on the avenue that was the focus of the revolt. Helicopters reenacted a dramatic surrender that began to turn the tide against Marcos. Chief of Staff General Fidel Ramos, military leader of the revolt, reenacted his walk through the ocean of people. Notably absent, the defense minister Enrile, who was there too a year ago, but was eventually fired by Aquino. 1 year ago, the presidential palace under Marcos bristled with weapons. Today, security was a little different. Filipinos in Manila are celebrating a new beginning. They know there are a lot of problems ahead, but today is a time for Thanksgiving. David Jackson, CBS News, Manila.
Telescopes in the southern hemisphere are being focused on the brilliant burnout of a star. It's a supernova, and it's one for the record books. Astronomers believe it's the brightest, hundreds of billions of times brighter than the sun, and the closest to Earth in nearly 400 years. They say it will help them calculate the distance to the edge of the universe.
Let's come a lot closer to home. The snow continues to fall today across the southwest. The mountains in northern Arizona buried under 2 feet of it. Some stretches of Interstate 40 are shut down. Up to 8 more inches may fall today near Flagstaff, and the snow on the ground in Phoenix Valley is making some difficult driving. Much of that will wash away today under heavy rain that could cause flooding. There is more snow on the way for North and South Dakota today. Up to 4 more inches will fall in some places. And now it's 9 minutes past the hour.
This is the TV8 Morning News, brought to you by Direct Delivery and Distribution. Here's Todd Nagel.
Good morning. Under cloudy skies, 30 degrees in Des Moines now. It appears all hope has not been lost in Ottumwa. In fact, just 1 day after the Hormel Company announced plans to close its pork processing plant there, town officials say they're confident a new buyer can be found. If not, more than 500 jobs would be lost. In a meeting in Ottumwa, Hormel officials have announced they will try to find someone to take over the modern plant Even the mayor says he's confident the disastrous announcement will have a silver lining.
It's not the Hormel company's fault. They just couldn't compete. If we get a new meat packer in here, obviously they will pay a lower wage, but I would anticipate a much, much greater number of employees hired. The hog kill will open back up, and they'll be going at full strength again.
Hormel says the plant has been operating at about 50% capacity, the main reason it was shut down. About 500 farmers and businesses have been told they must repay the state $1 million for mistakes they made in claiming refunds of sales tax paid on farm equipment and industrial machinery. Department of Revenue officials say many people received too much money in refunds because they listed the purchase price of the machinery on claim forms instead of the sales tax. The refund program is supposed to encourage businesses and farm growth in the state. Heritage Communications outside directors may render an opinion today on the $887 million takeover offer by Heritage Management and a Denver-based cable TV company. Director William Friedman Jr. says directors will probably decide today whether the $34 a share offer to stockholders is fair. Any decision will eventually require the approval of the full board of directors and Heritage shareholders. Weather is coming up next.
If you're a shipper or business owner, you know how important a long-distance delivery service can be. You need a carrier that's fast, economical, and dependable. That's what direct delivery and distribution is all about. It's the only delivery service in Des Moines that guarantees overnight delivery by truck to and from these Nebraska cities. There's no weight limit, and our prices are competitive or better than other carrier services. For guaranteed overnight delivery, call Direct Delivery and Distribution. Service is our guarantee.
Well, it looks like the rain we were supposed to get today won't start falling until tomorrow. The Central Iowa forecast calls for considerable cloudiness today with a high 45 to 50 degrees. Tonight, mostly cloudy and a low in about the mid-30s. Then Thursday, cloudy, a 50% chance of showers, a high in the lower 40s. In Des Moines now, cloudy skies, winds from the southeast at 10 miles per hour, humidity 81%, barometer 30.30 and steady. It's 30 degrees in Des Moines. More news and weather in about 10 minutes.
You'll see more of Sinatra and Selleck right here on the morning program.
Plus, Peter Scolari of the Newhart Show reveals a hidden talent and a master class in the martial arts.
Also, the reason smart women are staying home these days.
And a great Southern cook makes strawberry jam, all in the morning program.
Yum.
I can't wait for that. I love stuff.
An American cruise missile test over northwestern Canada went off without a hitch, even though anti-nuclear protesters had threatened to sabotage yesterday's landing. Canada suspended U.S. cruise tests over its territory last year after 2 of the missiles crashed. But now, despite pressure from peace activists, Canada says it will allow those tests to continue. The Army wants to hear about any suspicious behavior in the ranks, so it's opening a toll-free telephone spy line for reports on buddies who might be selling top secrets. The Army says the discovery of the Navy's Walker family spy ring inspired the hotline. It'll be ready April 30th. The number to call, what else? 1-800-CALL-SPY.
Hard times for Iowa's farmers have hit the state's Lieutenant Governor, Joanne Zimmerman. She is a victim of the farm credit crisis, an issue on which she campaigned last year. Zimmerman and her husband are losing their home next month. They face a foreclosure sale on 292 acres of land. And oil prices are slipping. Ken Prewitt is here to explain why. What's going on, Ken?
Well, Forrest, crude oil futures have fallen below $17 a barrel for the first time since OPEC's December agreement to cut production in an effort to hold the price at $18 a barrel. The reason? Traders think OPEC members are going to cheat, raise production at a time when there's too much oil on world markets. Merrill Lynch analyst Konstantin Pliakos thinks crude oil will sink to the $15 level for the foreseeable future. For the first time since hitting a record high last Thursday, the stock market turned up. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained nearly 7 points. It's at 22.23 this morning. Gold is up $4 an ounce in London at 406.40. Silver is up 4 cents at 5.49. The dollar is trading lower this morning. Auto sales continue to slump in the middle 10 days of the month. GM was down 38% from a year ago. Ford was down 8%. Chrysler down 15%. Consumers bought their new cars in December, the last month, to deduct state and local sales tax from federal income taxes. The federal budget deficit went up $2 billion in January. It totals $65.5 billion so far in fiscal 1987, and that is about $15 billion below the deficit through the first 4 months of fiscal 1986.
All right, thanks very much, Ken. The insurance industry will release results today of crash tests performed on the most popular 1987 cars. As consumer correspondent Erin Moriarty reports, cars that look similar and are priced about the same don't perform the same in minor fender benders, and that could hit you in the pocketbook.
The cars tested were all brand new, four-door mid-size models, all backed into a pole modeled after the ones you'd find in any McDonald's parking lot. All moving at just 5 miles per hour.
5 miles per hour doesn't seem like much until you see a collision at that speed and you see the damage.
Would you believe that just that bump on the back of the 1987 Oldsmobile left $868 worth of damage? Or how about this Pontiac 6000? $1,000 in damages. As for the brand new Ford Taurus, it will take over $1,400 to repair.
From an engineering point of view, there shouldn't be any damage. From the insurance point of view, there shouldn't be any damage. And from the consumer's point of view, there shouldn't be any damage. There's just no excuse, because it is quite easy to build bumpers that can sustain no damage in these kinds of tests.
That's the view of the auto insurance industry, which ran a series of 4 tests on both the front and rear bumpers of 22 cars. The result? That similar cars end up looking very different after just a minor accident. Chevy's new Corsica, for instance, which performed the best in all 4 tests, suffered only a little over $400 worth of damage. But compare that to the Pontiac 6000 or the Honda Accord DX. After 4 tests, each car suffered over $2,000 worth of damage. And if you think your insurance will pick up the tab, think again.
Cars that have poor bumpers will inevitably have higher insurance premiums. But in addition, under collision coverage, we all have deductibles. So the first $200 or $300 of damage comes out of your own pocket.
Why do some cars do so much worse than the others? Well, in 1983, the federal government relaxed bumper regulations. And since then, certain automakers have been using weaker bumpers. Erin Moriarty, CBS News, New York.
There's big controversy at the AIDS conference in Atlanta this morning. A plan for mandatory AIDS testing of hospital patients, pregnant women, and engaged couples is being sharply criticized. Opponents of the idea also say the privacy of people who test positive for AIDS should be respected.
Forrest, on another medical note, 7-year-old Ronnie DeSillers is in critical but stable condition this morning after liver transplant surgery overnight. The liver from a donor with the same rare blood type as DeSillers was flown to Pittsburgh's Children's Hospital for the 12-hour operation. The boy got nationwide attention when someone stole $4,000 collected to pay for the operation. Ronnie then got $400,000 in new donations, including $1,000 from President Reagan. It's now 17 minutes after the hour.
Remember the way it used to be. Remember you were always there for me. I hear the laughter, I hear you still. You're always with me, I always will.
Remember, Rock of Ages.
Hi, this is Dave Buzik inviting you to join us on Sunday evenings at 5:30 for Time Capsule. Each week, we take an in-depth look at the people, places, and events of our state. Recently, we learned about the dangerous problem of farmer's lung disease. We heard a down-to-earth explanation of why insurance premiums are rising so rapidly. We visited the majestic Fitz Mansion in Des Moines, flew with the Iowa Air National Guard, and went clam hunting along the Mississippi River. The stories of our state during our time, all placed into the Time Capsule Sunday evenings at 5:30 here on TV8.
Hi, I'm Sharon Rooney with today's community calendar. In order to promote good eye health and safety habits, the Iowa Society to Prevent Blindness is holding a Most Beautiful Eyes contest. To enter, complete an entry form, send a close-up picture of your eyes, and a $10 tax-deductible entry fee. The winner will receive either a trip to San Francisco or a cruise. Call 244-4341. And if you're interested in being a parent aid volunteer, a training program is scheduled for the first 2 weeks in March. Call 281-6279 and be a part of it all.
You've heard of slot machines being fixed so they wouldn't pay off. We'll give you a turnaround. This morning, 15 people are charged with tampering with slot machines in Atlantic City so they'd be winners, with a ring of about $500,000. Authorities say the suspects would crowd around the machine, they tamper with it, and then they claim the jackpot.
A lot of winners in Los Angeles this morning, Grammy winners. The music industry handed out its top awards last night, and as Jerry Bowen reports, Didn't hurt to be an old-timer at the rain-drenched affair.
Blame it on the weather if you want. It's hard to be glitzy and Hollywood glamorous when you're puddle jumping. But last night's Grammy Awards lacked that certain spark that's been the signature of years past when the record makers gathered to congratulate themselves. To be sure, the rap group Run DMC caused quite a stir when the entourage cruised in. Someone else came dressed as a monster named Punky. Mr. Music came in his green and white cape ensemble. And Japanese heavy metal guitarist Kuni came to let his hair up.
I first time see Grammy. I'm interested tonight.
And the mother-daughter team, the Judds, made their mark too, winners as Best Country Vocal Group.
Country isn't the majority here, but we're like the fat girl to prom. We're just glad to be here.
No, this one will be remembered as the Night of the Veterans. Doc Severinsen was there, a winner with his Tonight Show band. Jerry Lewis showed up with Lamb Chop, a nominee, but no Grammy. A big night for the veterans. The AIDS charity song, That's What Friends Are For, took 2 awards. Group Top Performance for Dionne Warwick and Friends, Song of the Year for Burt Bacharach and Carol Bayer Sager.
The song I'm very proud of, but it's what it has meant to so many people that in friendship and people that have passed on, that the song meant something to, and the song that offers hope.
The song Higher Love won Record of the Year and Top Male Vocal for Steve Winwood. No household name, but a British performer whose first hit came in the 60s. Barbara Streisand was named Best Female Pop Vocalist, and then there was Paul Simon. His record Graceland named Best Album. In the face of criticism, he violated a boycott of South Africa, exploiting its music. As close as anyone came to political comment last night, Simon saluted the South African musicians who worked with him.
They live along with other South African artists and their countrymen under one of the most repressive regimes on the planet today. And still, they are able to produce music of great power and nuance and joy.
But all in all, a fairly sedate evening. A night when the old ones were the good ones. By music industry standards, a night for Grammy and Grandpa. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Barbara Streisand said she had a feeling that she would win last night because the awards were held on the 24th, and 24 is her lucky number. She won her first Grammy 24 years ago.
Actually, I'm pleased to see Paul Simon when he took some big risks for that and introduced an entirely different kind of sound to the United States.
Absolutely.
It is now 22 minutes after the hour.
At AT&T, not only do we use the latest technology, we invented.
Scientists at AT&T Bell Laboratories invented the transistor and built the first electrical digital computer, which helped to make AT&T the most advanced and reliable long-distance network in the world.
Today, they're opening new frontiers with the use of lasers and photonics.
But we know that all this means very little without this.
David, you sound wonderful.
AT&T, the right choice.
If you're up against the old boy network, subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. You'll find that to achieve success, you don't have to be old. And you don't even have to be a boy.
Call 800-445-6000 for this special introductory offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-445-6000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
There are thousands of Walmart associates working together because low prices are important to you.
We seek out the manufacturers who can deliver the quality we demand. Then our large volume buying enables you to save on the things you want.
We control every step. We deliver to stores at least 5 times each week.
That means fresher merchandise and lower prices every day.
We stock what you want to buy, and because it moves fast, we can sell it at a lower price.
Here's what it all comes down to. You save on everything in the cart, not just 1 or 2 items.
You will save on everything you buy at Walmart.
We're a team. Everybody in this store does his part to keep costs down. And that means lower prices for you.
Walmart. We're thousands of individuals working together to keep prices lower on the things you want. Our philosophy is very simple.
What's important is you.
That's the Walmart way.
is the CBS Morning News. Here's Todd Nagel.
Good morning. Under cloudy skies, 30 degrees in Des Moines. The issue of Des Moines homeless, a controversial problem in the past few months in Des Moines, is also a priority in the campaigns of the city's candidates for mayor. In their first debate together, the four candidates told a forum of about 75 religious activists the quality of neighborhoods, loss of housing, and inadequate shelter for the city's homeless are the top issues in the race.
That we need emergency shelter, and that needs to be temporary shelter. Needs to be something to get people off the street.
But the thing that we need to do as a council is that you set a priority to take care of the homeless and adhere to it.
A lot of people think that you can throw a piece of carpet down and paint a wall and you have a safe, sanitary house. No, you don't.
In fact, we have at least two candidates for mayor who are urging that we tear down more houses instead of trying to figure out a way to rehab them.
The primary election to narrow the race to two candidates is March 17th. The election for mayor is April 14th. An aptitude test for future school principals is debuting in Ottumwa this week. The University of Northern Iowa is sponsoring the first in-the-state test. 10 Ottumwa teachers will be confronted with situations they might have to face in the job, everything from paperwork to grading and scheduling. UNI officials say the testing is inspired by private business, where companies often use the system to identify management materials. The state's recent dry spell has been so bad, the state fire marshal says he may have to issue a ban on open burning. Wilbur Johnson says the increase in grass fires has him concerned, and unless some rain or snow falls soon, a ban on burning could be issued next week. Johnson says many of the fires have been the result of carelessness, like discarded cigarettes along the road. Weather is next.
Plus Run has more ways to win. In our second year of world-class Greyhound racing, Plus Run brings you more races. 12 action-packed races nightly at 8, except Thursday. Matinees Wednesday at 4, weekends at 1:30. More wagers. The Pick Six is back, and the high payoff Twin Trifecta. Trifecta's every race, plus 6 other exciting wagers. More ways to win. Plus Run. Located at the I-29 I-80 interchange in Council Bluffs. Minimum age 18. Don't miss our new season. Running now.
Well, it looks like the rain we're supposed to get today won't start falling until tomorrow. The Central Iowa forecast calls for considerable cloudiness today with a high 45 to 50. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low in the mid-30s. Thursday, cloudy with a 50% chance of showers, a high in the lower 40s. In Des Moines now, cloudy skies, winds from the southeast at 10 miles per hour. Humidity 81%, barometer 30.30 and steady. 30 degrees in Des Moines. More news and weather in about 15 minutes.
We will be watching these stories as they develop this Wednesday. In Washington, from Capitol Hill down to the White House, a final day before the Tower Commission releases its report on the Iran arms sales. In Chicago, Mayor Harold Washington, winner of the Democratic mayoral primary, is appealing for unity after his bitter race with former Mayor Jane Burns. In Moscow, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev said again today that democracy is essential for progress in the Soviet Union. And in Cairo, Israeli Foreign Minister Shimon Peres has arrived for a 2-day peace summit with Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak.
Our final word is about a brand new attraction this morning near Disney World in Florida. But this one is provided by nature. It's a sinkhole. You'll see a lot of these down in Florida. This one's a pretty good one. 43 feet wide, about 6 feet deep, right in the median of a highway that leads to Disney World. So tourists have been stopping, checking it out on the way to the Magic Kingdom and enjoying the holes, taking a few pictures for back home. This one's not expanding. They're going to fill it in. Things will be back to normal later today. Sinkholes sometimes caused by a drop in the water table on the ground. Limestone collapses them.
For the tourists, it's something to see.
Sometimes they collapse right in the middle of the road, which can be an annoyance when you drive up on it.
I bet it can be. That's the CBS Morning News. I'm Faith Daniels.
And I'm Forrest, Sawyer. Enjoy your Wednesday.
I'm Marion Hartley. Next on the morning program, Frank Sinatra and Tom Selleck, Peter Scolari of The New Heart Show, and smart women who choose to stay home.
This is CBS.
Spring's in the air,
Don't be caught unprepared. Hurry to Fashion Gal Spring Sale.